welcome back. Today I'm doing 15 best-selling books that were turned into terrible movies. Number 1, Bonfire of the Vanities. I believe I'm saying that right. This was a Tom Wolfe's book from 1987. It was a novel about Wall Street banker's take on the socioeconomic landscape of the 1980s New York. It became an instant bestseller and cemented Wolfe's reputation as one of America's greatest writers. But nobody's quite sure what Hollywood had in mind when they adapted it to the screen. As anybody's guess, it was released in 1990. It was starring Tom Hanks and Bruce Willis. The movie was a long and excruciatingly boring to watch. One critic even wrote the screenplay eviscerates, not sure if I'm saying that right, Tom Wolfe's forceful work of the social criticism of the moral of the meaning. Ouch. Number 2, The Da Vinci Code, which I actually thought was a pretty good movie. When Dan Brown wrote the 4th novel, The Da Vinci Code, he wasn't expecting anything life-changing to come out of it. But today, Brown is one of America's best-selling authors with sales of over 200 million. Unsurprisingly, Hollywood soon came calling once the Da Vinci Code took off. But it seems the plot's detailed accounts of conspiracy theories and adventures was hard to replicate on screen, which was perhaps summed up by the film critic Brandon Phibbs, who wrote, "So, intent on being faithful, the Da Vinci Code forgets to be entertaining." Number 3, A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. First released as a graphic novel series, the comic won multiple awards for the storylines and illustrations, but in 2003, movie adaptations left people feeling shortchanged. One critic even called it odd, loud, unintentionally funny, and quite awful. Number 4, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Douglas Adams' 1979 fictional guide for hitchhikers became a massive success, but the movie earned just $50 million at the box office. Ouch. Number 5, The Great Gatsby. Any film that attempts to capture the essence of Fitzgerald's most enduring work will often find it hard, and Baz Luhrmann's star-studded 3D adaptation was no exception. Admittedly, it wasn't as bad as the 1973 version, but Fitzgerald's narrative about the social and moral decay of the country was quickly turned on its head and transformed into a movie intent on being a melodramatic tearjerker rather than a serious work of art. But Baz Luhrmann's The Greatest Gatsby, a faithful film, and a terrible, terrible bad one, wrote the Daily Telegraph. Number 6, Christmas with the Kronks. I actually loved that movie. John Grisham is one of America's most celebrated novelists, but his beloved New York Times bestselling Skipping Christmas was quickly butchered by Hollywood. One critic went as far as to label it an unfunny disaster. I actually liked Christmas with the Kronks. 7. The Scarlet Letter. At the time of its release, its estimated 1850 novel caused much controversy due to the pornographic mothering a baby outside wedlock, but it was the movie adaptation some 150 years later that caused controversy of a different kind. Fully adapted from the novel by Nathaniel Hawthorne, the credits say consistently. The credits say, I'll say, wrote Chicago readers Jonathan Rosenbaum. 8. Left Behind, the movie. At its time of release, Left Behind, the movie was described by promoters as the biggest and most ambitious Christian film ever made. But it didn't quite live up to the hype of the best-selling book. In fact, the adaptation grossed a paltry $3 million and a host of negative reviews. 9. Gulliver's Travels. I liked both the book and the movie on this one. We've already listened to some painful reviews, but the woeful 2010 adaptation of Jonathan Swift's classic novel led Rolling Stone to call it a dumb excuse for a movie. Not that they were being harsh. 10. The Bicentennial Man. Isaac Asimov 1976 novel Bicentennial Man won the Hugo Award and the Nobel Award for Best Science Fiction Novelette. But the 1999 adaptation starring the late Robin Williams, which I loved Bicentennial Man, that was a good movie, failed to achieve the same success. Instead, many viewed it as a bland and uninspired interpretation of the book. I never even realized that Bicentennial Man, the movie, was actually adapted from a book. 11. The Kite Runner. The Kite Runner was a runaway bestseller across the world, and a film adaptation soon followed. However, the film took a mere $15 million at the box office, despite positive reviews. 12. Great Expectations. Charles Dickens' classic book has been adapted for the silver screen countless times, but the 1998 version wasn't loved by critics. Changed to modern-day setting, Ethan Hawke and Gwyneth Paltrow on-screen chemistry was forced at best, with one critic even labeling it more of a tragedy than a story. 13. The Time Traveler's Wife. For many years, Audrey Niffinger's first novel couldn't find a home, but then a small publishing house in San Francisco finally decided to publish it and changed her life forever. To both their surprise, it became an award-winning bestseller, but the 2009 movie adaptation wasn't as good. The New York Times, a place where teenage teenage girls are presumably few and far between, labeled the film ridiculous, awkward, and unsatisfying. 14. Eat, Pray, Love. I never realized this was a book before it was a movie. Following a terrible divorce, Elizabeth Gilbert decided to write a memoir chronicling the lessons she learned from her marriage as she traveled the world. Soon after publishing it, it became an international sensation, but the movie which followed was a tad too dramatic for many people, and critics universally panned it. And number 15, The Lovely Bones. Alice Sebold's novel, The Lovely Bones, told from the unusual perspective of a murdered girl watching her family's trauma from heaven as they cope with her loss, sold millions before Hollywood turned it into a film starring Mark Wahlberg and Saoirse Ronan. Still, though the movie would give supporting actor Stanley Tucci his first Academy Award nomination, critics felt it lacked any real conviction, and the consensus was that it was ultimately a poor retelling of a great book. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more, check out these videos over here, and I'll catch you in my next one.